Hi, everybody. This is Tom Grisak with the Grisak Group, and this is an interview I've really been looking forward to for a long time. We do a lot of work and promotion for Lovejoy School District here in Lucas and Fairview. But one of the fine schools out here that I've never had an opportunity to talk to is Lucas Christian Academy. So I've got with me across the table is Dr. Joseph Walker, head of school for Lucas Christian Academy. And thank you for joining us. And then in the corner there is Stephanie Fort. And Stephanie, her son just enrolled. And I just found out that it's so tough to get in there that she was on the waiting list to get in there. And then Nathan Pugh to my right, also another realtor. Nathan has actually moved to the area because of the LCA, Lucas Christian Academy. So hope you get some information, good information out of this. And I got a million questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Dr. Walker, how long have you been with LCA again?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Tom. This is my third year that I'm starting this year. Just completed the previous two, and it's really been a wonderful experience.
Okay. And how many students are enrolled in LCA now?
455 as of today, and that's our largest. That's our largest enrollment in our 20. This is our 27th year. So.
Are you? Is there any way to grow without expanding your area there? I mean, you can't go. Can you go out from the school?
Yeah, so we're at capacity in terms of in terms of our numbers in our space. We have a few slots in different classes. It just depends on which class if you might need a student. But right now we're at capacity, and so we're looking at ways to grow. We would love to expand. That's a multi-year process, obviously, and we're trying to figure out how best to do that. But our board really feels called by God to expand as much as double our current size.
Oh, wow.
So you would think at the maximum potentially 900 students. We don't know how many years that would take or how long. That's just how they what they feel called to right now. And then we're just looking at the best ways to potentially do that to serve the community.
So, why can't you just expand out into the parking lot to behind you? You've got plenty of room back there. It looks like with the extra field.
Yeah. So right now, one of the things that we're doing is we have some fields. We play all of our indoor sports there on campus, but for our outdoor sports, we try to make sure that we can practice there on campus.
Okay.
We don't have our outdoor facilities where we actually play our games. We rent all our outdoor facilities to play our games, and so if we were to expand, we're going to take away those practice fields, and that just complicates things for our families. So that is an option. It may be something that we end up doing one of these days. But right now, we're just looking before we make those decisions. We're trying to figure out what's best.
So. Okay. And are you a native Texan?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I got here as fast as I could, but I'm originally from Searcy, Arkansas. I'm a proud Arkansan, but I married a native Texan, and so my children, I believe, are sixth generation native Texans. So we're pretty excited about that. They tease me all the time about the fact that I'm not. So.
I've been through Searcy many times. I went to the University of Arkansas myself.
Oh, my goodness,
so I know that area up there pretty well.
Wonderful.
And then how did you get into the education field? How did you start off, and what was your background?
Thank you. So both of my parents were educators. My father was a college professor there at Harding University in Searcy for almost 40 years. And I had an amazing growing up and went to Christian schools and didn't know what I wanted to do and kept being pulled by the Lord into, look, you've had some amazing people that have impacted your life in Christian education. This is really what you want to do. And it was. And I finally admitted to that and just went after it headlong. Not too long after that, I met my wife, and both of her parents are Christian educators, and she was going into Christian education. And so it seemed like the family business, which it has been for many years. And so we've never looked back. We've loved doing that. We've just been blessed to be in several different schools, mostly in Texas. But it's been a wonderful journey.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Harding University.
Okay.
That was,
All right.
with my father being a professor there, we got a hefty discount. So
Yeah,
that
I'll
was
bet.
that was kind of pre-planned for me. But it was wonderful. I loved it. I loved having a Christian worldview being promoted in the classroom. In my learning experience, I had some amazing professors there,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did my graduate work at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Union's been around for
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee.
I
Yes,
don't know
sir.
Jackson, Tennessee. So
It's on I-40 west,
okay.
in between Memphis and Nashville. It's the biggest thing in between Memphis and Nashville, and
Okay.
a wonderful Christian school, a Baptist university that's been there for over 200 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Really amazing institution, and love doing my graduate work there. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you were offered the opportunity to come over to LCA, how much did you know about it, and what type of vision did you have for it? How did you feel like you could help it grow, or what did you feel like the needs were?
Yeah. So the amazing thing is, I was working as the athletic director at Grace Community School in Tyler, Texas. Just a wonderful school, wonderful church ministry there. And my assistant athletic director actually had lived in Lucas
Hmm.
and had worked at LCA, and her kids went to LCA when they were very young. And she's from Tyler. She moved back to Tyler, and we were working together. But she would tell these stories about the school, and I didn't know anything about it or anything like that. But we worked together. We worked together for 9 years, and during that time, there were many times that she would just tell me these wonderful stories and how great the school was, and so on
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. And then when my last son graduated, and I was looking to be a head of school somewhere, the job became available, and it was amazing that I was like, wait, that's the place that you've been talking about all this time.
Hmm.
And so that was really my first connection. The second thing is the school that I was at is a 5-day model, what you might say a regular model
Mm-hmm.
school, but they had started a hybrid model at Grace Community School. So I had both options
Mm-hmm.
for parents there. And so that was something that really appealed to me as well, is hearing her talk about the hybrid model and why that was so special to her,
Right.
and why it was so special to families. And of course, that's just my love
Right.
for it has grown since I've been here.
And explain that. Why? What are the advantages of a 3-day week?
Yeah, thank you. So, since COVID, the two fastest growing segments of education are homeschooling by a wide margin as a percentage, and then right behind that is Christian education. And so
Mm.
we kind of sit at the intersection of those two fast growing movements. That's just what the statistics tell us the most people are looking for. And so our students are in school at the building on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're in regular classrooms, just like you would see anywhere else. Their teachers are teaching them the curriculum, and so on and so forth. On Tuesday and Thursday, they're at home with their parents as what we call satellite days and what we call co-teachers. And so we really spend a lot of time trying to interview the parents and say, is this something that you're for sure that you want to do, because you're partnering with us in
That's a
this
good
thing.
point.
Now, we set the curriculum, we set the assignments, we set the lesson plans, and what that does is that's helpful for parents who maybe think, I don't know if I can do this homeschooling thing.
Right. Right.
And so we get people from both sides. We get people who have been homeschooling their children for a long time, and they go, wow, I don't know if I can continue to do this. Do I really want to teach my child chemistry or something like that?
Right.
But then we get it from the other side as well, of people who their kids have been in a 5-day model, and they just think, I'm not getting as much time with my kids as I'd like
Right.
to have. And so this provides that. And
Right.
obviously, if you can ask them about our interview process and about the co-teaching process, because honestly, they know a lot more about that than
Yeah.
I do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Grisak with the Grisak Group Real Estate Company. We have been your local leaders for 25 straight years. We would love to help you buy or sell real estate. You can contact us here, and we hope to hear from you soon.
On their off days, how much are they doing at home? I mean,
Oh.
it's they have assignments they have to be completed. How do you like that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a great spot to let me in, because that was kind of one of the first things I want to make sure and bring up, is that university model, or the hybrid model that it's called, was really one of the things that attracted us. We were in that situation where our daughter was about to start school. My mom was getting her doctorate in education, so she was feeding me all this information about brain synapses and forming brains, as she's in those early years.
Uh-huh.
And we really wanted to keep her close and do, special things and homeschool. But the idea of homeschooling was a little daunting, even to begin with a full-time job and those things. So that university model was really what appealed to us. So where we can still have our hands on, for part of the week, but the curriculum, the plan, the professional staff is there to really lay it out and explain it. But we still get to be heavily involved with it. And then it's a Bible-based program. So, it's easier to explain your same beliefs when it comes into that. What have you seen in families and impact on families that university or hybrid model gives that maybe a traditional model doesn't,
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is peace. Now, some of them may feel like, oh, I don't know if it's peaceful right now because they're running students in lots of different places. But for instance, we have students that love equestrian, and that takes a lot of time. We have students that love figure skating. We have students that love other things. Those things take an enormous amount of time. And if you're in a traditional 5-day model and every day you've got that blocked off where you're going to be there, then if you add that on top of that, it can be difficult. But when you've got our model and they can go, oh, okay, so the best time for me to go and train on my equestrian is from 8:30 in the morning to 10:30 in the morning with my trainer because they've got plenty of time for me. Well, they can go do that on Tuesday and Thursday because, the class waits for them, and so the amount of work or whatever that is, and you can say, well, how much is that? It like homework, it varies from day to day, but it's not like traditional homework where you go home at work on Monday night and you've got maybe a couple hours of homework to do if you're, an 8th grade student or something like that. It's a full day of work. And so you can't just wait until Tuesday night at 7:30 and get started on it because you're not getting done. And so you have to plan your day, but it allows you to plan your day. So I would say peace in some ways. There's an ability to do that. The next thing I would just say is connection. Is you're the one that is delivering perhaps a part of the message, part of the instruction, or you're the one receiving the questions, or you're the one, depending on the curriculum that day, you're maybe being called to ask your child some questions and listen to their answers. That's invaluable. I mean, these are conversation starters constantly all the time and that sort of thing. And so I think that's what our families love the most. But I don't know, it might be good to hear from a new family, and she might say that that's not my experience at all. I don't know.
Stephanie, when did your child go in?
So I have a pre-K student.
Okay.
So there's a small little pre-K class at
They are the
LCA.
cutest things in the world, by the way. So.
And they're all best friends already. That took 2 seconds. But he's loving it, and we're loving it too. My first grader is on the wait list, so fingers crossed. Hopefully that'll be soon. But no, my 4-year-old, he loves it, and we love having him home.
What does he like about it?
Well, he loves his teacher and all his friends. He comes home with stories every day. He loves being home Tuesday and Thursday and that's kind of what brought us, debating between public and homeschool, and this was the perfect in between. But then we're like, we just want to spend more time with them. And so he gets, pre-K, he doesn't have that much work to do. It's not like the older kids.
So your alternative would have been Allen School District.
Correct. Yeah. So we're in Allen, but I actually did a trial run with homeschool. And after doing that, it was fun, but it's exhausting and it is pretty daunting.
How long did you do that?
Just for the summer.
Okay.
So we did it for the summer. Yeah. I ordered all the curriculum and everything, and we tried it. And the kids, they did like it. It was just a lot. And so that's why I was like, well, I'm not concerned about the 2 days they're home. We've done that. But then they get to go to school for the other 3.
Yeah. And I say it's during the Tuesday, Thursday, once you get into the rhythm, right? The first grade, the class, you know the work. And so it's a little easier. You spend more time because it takes longer to kind of get them in the groove at home. By the time, my daughter's in 8th grade now and has been doing this since 1st grade. So she is involved in, violin lessons and guitar lessons. She goes to like a singing class, and she does, different things for the school. And she pretty much has got a system down to where that work, you have a block of work that's pretty much a typical, class days amount, for history, you have a typical work day amount, but when you do it from home and you knew what we worked on yesterday, you can work on it Monday night and then Tuesday's done. Or, if it takes an hour to teach a class of 15, you could probably sit down and we can crank through that work
Right.
in 25 or 30. And
Well, I would have loved a model like that. I went to Richardson School District, and it felt like a prison to me, just because it's just the same thing every day. And I would look out the window on a pretty day, think I want to be out there, and it just I guess it was a good school district, but I just felt like it wasn't. I just couldn't wait to get through. And if I'd had every other day that I could do like tennis, which I wanted to play a lot of tennis, if I had every other day I could work on that, that would have changed my attitude about school tremendously, because that was my interest growing up.
Yeah,
And
we have a lot of boy parents that say it's good that we have second Tuesday and Thursday because they get a lot of energy out.
We do all the things.
it gives you
on
something to
Tuesday,
look forward
Thursday.
to. Tomorrow you may be in, but I got tomorrow off, or not off, because you still got responsibilities.
Absolutely.
But and how did you find out about LCA, Stephanie?
For me, it was actually one of our clients that goes there.
Excellent.
Her
Okay.
kids moved to go there, and so help them sell their house and then buy a house closer. And she just was always like, "You would love it. I know you would love it." And then we were in that homeschool period where we were genuinely considering homeschool. And I just kept meeting people that were like, "Well, you should try this. You should try this." And so we looked into it and we were like, "This is amazing. This is perfect." Yeah. So Ziggy loves to go golf with Daddy on Tuesday and
Yeah.
Thursday. But I also really like the idea of homeschool because I want to know what they're learning and be involved in it too.
Right.
And so
That's a big topic
I
right now.
feel
What's being
like,
taught?
yes, and I feel like too, they're going away from homework in public school. So like
That's
they're just
true.
not getting any homework, and I think they're there all day, so they should be able to learn, enough in 7 hours. But I also see it from like I want to know what they're doing, and so it's nice to go through that with them and know exactly where they're at, and already know if they're hitting milestones or not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The as far as sports programs, what do you offer?
Yeah. So in the fall, we have football and volleyball. We play 6-man football, which is really exciting. It's been called basketball on grass. It's a lot of fun. We have cross country for boys and girls, and then we have cheer for girls. In the winter, we have basketball for boys and girls. And then in the spring, we have baseball and softball and track and field for both boys and girls.
Good.
And so we have a wide range of sports. We have a wide range of fine arts offerings that, people... we really feel like there's something for anybody for their gifts and talents. But at the same time, like I said, there are a lot of kids who are like, "Hey, that's great. It's a small school. I can jump in and play football, but my real love is lacrosse." And they have time. They have time to manage their schedule and be on a lacrosse team, which can be demanding sometimes or things like that. Or we have some students right now who are just amazing actors, and so they're in community theater. And because of our schedule, they're able to do that. When you talk about what is being taught and that sort of thing, I think that, when I ask our parents what they're looking for, obviously the biggest thing for them is I want my child to be taught from the foundation of a Christian worldview. And that's what we're trying to do. So whether it's football practice or whether it's math class, we're trying to bring that to them in a way that disciples them. We're trying to bring we're trying to talk about history from a Christian worldview. This is the God who made history, and this is how he's acting in history. And what does that mean for your life today? And how does that disciple you? And so we're trying to do that in basketball, and we're trying to do that in theater as well. And that's the biggest thing. So our curriculum is all based on that. And so that's the biggest reason why the interview process is very extensive, is because we want to know that you're aligned with us.
Right.
And
I would imagine that's
and the parents want to know we're aligned with them.
Yeah.
right. Is it, I guess it's difficult to turn down students if you think the parents aren't going to be there, you don't think they're going to get the support, or they don't really buy into what you're trying to do. That's got to be challenging, or it's got to be tough.
It is.
To say if you're just not, we're not a right fit for each other.
That's right. It is gut wrenching, honestly, every time, because people come to you and they want to be there. But for instance, it's our model's not for everybody because if mom and dad work a full 5 days a week and not remotely or someplace else, if there's nobody to do that co-teaching piece, they may say, "Oh, my child's 16 years old; they'll be fine at home." But that's not our model,
Yeah.
and so that won't work. All the way through their senior year, there has to be a co-teacher at home on Tuesday, Thursday, on satellite days. We've done
Okay.
we've done grandparents. We've done
Okay.
we have
Yeah.
we have some innovative ways to do that. We know that but then those grandparents have to actually come and interview with us as well to make
Okay.
sure that they're aligned.
They're
So
part of the process.
that's right.
And as far as tuition, can you
Mhm.
tell? And first of all, you go all the way from pre-K through high school,
That's right.
What is the tuition?
Yeah, so just right at about, especially for a senior, right at about $10,000
Okay.
annually, all in tuition fees, everything. It's a little bit less than that for our elementary grades. It graduates as you go up. And in secondary, especially, it just depends on how many courses you take. And so we have obviously degree plans, but if for instance the schedule or whatever doesn't work out, we do have students that will take a Spanish class online somewhere else, or students that will take a geometry class online somewhere else and then transfer that in, much like a university, or that sort of thing. We don't encourage that. We think it's better if they can take them with us, but there could be reasons why a student can't, and so that then affects the tuition. We don't charge them for classes that they don't take with us. But I
Right.
would say 95% of our students take all their courses right there at Lucas Christian Academy. And so,
Okay.
it's generally around that $10,000 mark.
And if they get into extracurricular sports, there are extra costs there, I would imagine.
Yeah, that usually that 10,000 number includes
Oh.
our sports and fine arts combo. Okay,
Okay.
so once the way we're currently structured, if they play two or more sports or fine arts, it's kind of a chunk tuition cost, and then after that, it's very minimal. After that, so usually that it would include that as well. Now there are going to be other things. There might be teams that have a need for a certain type of gear, things like that. And so you're going to keep that gear, you're going to make purchases and that sort of thing. But those are kind of one off.
Honestly, I would think that the tuition would be quite a bit more because it's basically, I mean, it's a private school, and you go to any private school in Dallas, you're looking at 3 to 4 times that minimum.
Yeah.
So I think that's highly attractive. And what stuck out to me is when you said the parents not only have to be committed, you've got to have someone that's home on that day, and that would rule a lot of people out. Two
right.
income families, it's just difficult to do unless
Absolutely.
one of them's working out of the home.
That's right.
So what's your projected, how big can you're maxed out now? What would you like to see it at? At what point do you think, okay, we're big enough now, we're going to lose control?
Yeah. So we targeted that 900 number, that double our current size, because that would put our class sizes in high school at maximum 80 students. And
Right.
there's no magic number, but we feel like somewhere between 60 and 90 is kind of that number for you still know everyone in your class. You can still be connected to everyone in your class.
Right.
You get too much beyond that, and it's difficult. And I would say that you're going to have more connectivity with 40 students in your class than 80 students in your class. And we know that. But just in interviewing other schools and seeing how they felt about their class size or something like that, that's what we thought. So we didn't want to go beyond that because we feel like community is a huge part of what we do and what we provide for students and families, frankly. So, but the other thing that we would like to do is we don't want, if somehow magically we had the land next door, or we had another place nearby where we could immediately have all the facilities we need, we wouldn't just open up a third section or a fourth section of classes right away. We would build from the bottom. We would open up maybe a third section of pre-kindergarten or a third section of first grade or something like that, because we want to bring those students and families along slowly. And we want to make sure that they're really part of our culture. Now, we're always willing to get students in 5th grade and 8th grade and 11th grade, that's great. But we wouldn't want to just have a huge influx right away because our culture is very important to us and how we do things. So,
Where do your students, the majority, or is there any area you pull from more than other, like Princeton or McKinney, or is it Lucas, or where's the?
yeah, great question. All over, we do have students as far as Princeton and Farmersville. We have McKinney. We have some students as far as Prosper and Aubrey. We have South,
okay.
Wiley, Garland, a lot. And so we do have a lot of students from the city of Lucas, a lot of families from the city of Lucas, and then very close by at Wiley, Allen, and so forth. But it's really just all over. And again, our model makes that possible because if you're making that trek 5 days a week in the morning, that can be rough. If you're planning to make that trek 3 days a week, you can do that. Or sometimes maybe you're still coming 5 days a week, but you're coming in at 10:30 for a practice or for an academic help session or things like that. You're not coming right at traffic time. That makes a big difference.
Right. Now, I remember 3 years, 4 years ago, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was a pretty big deal. There was a special award,
Yeah.
and it was monetary gifting to you all. Tell me about that, how you won that and how'd that turn out?
Yeah, so amazing story. Really a God story, foundational story in our history. But it was actually a few years further back than that.
Was it?
We started as a ministry of the church next door, which at the time was Lucas Christian Church, and a few years later we split amicably from them and continued to rent their facilities and so forth. But we didn't have a place of our own. And so we bought the land next door from them, the land that we're currently on. They had a big parcel of land. They didn't need all of it. And so we bought 16 acres from them. But in needing to buy that, it was pretty expensive. And so there was a contest that Kohl's had, Kohl's, the retail department store, when they were trying to drum up Facebook hits and try to get people to join into Facebook and, go to their Kohl's page and things like that. It was many, many years ago. And so they did a contest to see how many people they could get to go to their page and do votes and vote. And so you voted for your school. And the top prize for 20 schools across the nation was $500,000 each.
Wow.
And I mean, I can't imagine them, but it was worth it to them. Kohl's is still around. They haven't gone out of business, And so we determined, our leadership at the time said, this is an opportunity to pay off that land. And and so our community just rallied, and they got people everywhere to go to Facebook and vote for us. And here we were, one of these small schools that was leading. We were second out of those top 20. We were the second largest vote getter with all these enormous schools that were getting
That's incredible.
all of these votes. They did some amazing things. They would go to college campuses and they would hand out free donuts and say, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called Facebook? Sign up for it. And by the way, while you're there, will you vote?" And of course, college students.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, college.
Somehow I thought it was just time's going so fast.
College students will do anything for food and
Yeah.
especially
Donuts,
donuts, and just some amazing creative ways. And I want to say, Lovejoy ISD was absolutely crucial and instrumental in that. They let us come to their football games. They let us come. They
Wow, I
had people
love that.
sign up, and we have just, in my opinion, retained a wonderful relationship with them. We still do FCA events with them and things like that, and we just appreciate them so much. And we ended up winning one of those $500,000 awards. We paid off our land. Our land is, free and
What
clear
a great
ours.
story.
And then we began the process of looking at how we can put a building on that land, which we did in 2014, and moved over from the portable buildings in that church and moved over into the building that we're in today.
Yeah,
So
great story.
That that lady you worked with who went to LCA, did she go when they were in the portable buildings?
she
back
did
there?
remember that, and so for her, she was like, they just built a building as she
Yeah.
was moving back to Tyler, and everything, and so it was really interesting to hear her perspective on that. But she was.
You talk about culture because, as we've gone through the years, there's several parents who had older kids who were, even back in those days that were there, and now they've, their last kid is coming up with ours, and they would talk about the culture there when, parents would come up on work days to like build a new ramp to get, to go on the school or build a, a
right.
playground piece. And he would talk about some parts of the culture that they miss, like some of those
right.
types of, we got to rally together to put this swing set together so our kids can play on it. But now that they have this building, there's so many opportunities that they didn't have there, and they
Absolutely.
still have quite a strong knit, community.
Yeah, I would say that we still have an amazing volunteer culture. Do you feel like you get opportunities to
Yes.
volunteer? They're begging for it all the time. There's lots of opportunities for parents to be involved at the school, not just on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we have an amazing group of parents who just want to do that. They love being around their children. Whether or not their children love them being there is of no consequence.
Yeah.
They don't really care about that. They want to be around their children. And, there's plenty of years for their children to get away from them when they go to college. But it's that spirit is still there. It's not the same. There's not a, hey, we have to all meet out here and go do this. We've still done a couple of those things. I got out, we needed, more mulch spread in the playground. And so we did a elementary dad's work day last year, and I got out there with him. It was a lot of fun. And those kinds of things, you remember, both of us shoveled a lot of mulch and we were both sore the next day, things like that. Those are things that bond you. And so I think that's just been part of our culture from the beginning. So whether it's building a ramp or coming together to support an event, whatever our parents do is huge for us.
Do you have any stories, maybe someone that went through your system and then someone that we might know about, or any stories like success stories, I would say, that they can relate it to your school?
Yeah, so we have some amazing graduates. We have graduates that work at NASA. We have graduates that have run, very
Excellent.
successful companies and things like that.
Yeah.
They're very humble about it, and so it's what they would say. What I hear from our graduates all the time is, I learned responsibility. When I went to college, I was ready. And I made my own schedules. I looked around at my friends and, they're having their freshman year and they have no idea what's going on because there had been so much of the table set for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, kids figure that out. But I think that's where our graduates have a leg up when they go to college. And what we say now, used to 25 years ago when we were just starting out, and what other Christian schools and private schools were saying is, we're a college prep school.
Mm-hmm.
We were a college preparatory school. We wanted to be ready for college. Most of our graduates still go to college, but what we say now is we want to prepare our graduates for what's next, because there's some amazing opportunities in technical industries and vocational and entrepreneurial, in gap year opportunities and mission opportunities. And so in addition to college, we're preparing our kids for what's next. That makes a big difference too. If you're trying to start your own business, we have kids that before they get out of school, they've started their own business because they've had time on Tuesday and Thursday to do that,
Right.
to be ready for that, to actually go and try to sell it and market it and things like that. And so that's, I think, our biggest advantage is, I don't think our kids grew up too fast doing that. They just become responsible. Kids are they're very capable, and they used to do a lot more when the family business, when it was everybody pulling together on the farm and everything else. Kids had a lot of responsibility. Our kids still have a lot of responsibility. I think that helps us a lot.
Yeah, I've really noticed how you mentioned how much they can handle. I mean, how it seems like you probably noticed this when your son was going through the school. Like, they learn things faster, like sooner than we learned them.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
the rigor and the pace that it seems like they learn. It feels like a preparatory, curriculum. But then at the same time, it's all Bible based, so you still have that same belief, and it feels like a lot of places it feels like those would be in competition with each other, like science versus faith. But you guys do such a good job of blending that in between the curriculum and then the teachers and the coursework. That's all by design, and that's continued to make impact on the students you see.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting to us is we feel like we know who the author of knowledge is. And so when you start with the author, understanding his knowledge is is a lot easier. It's funny that you say that because 250 years ago, all the best scientists were Christians. They were searching for God in science, and somewhere in the last couple of centuries through the Enlightenment and other things, we've lost that because somehow Christianity looked unintellectual, anti-intellectual. It's not. We believe that those things do walk hand in hand,
Yeah.
and so we're trying to show our students that, and we're trying to give them tools and to be able to speak to a world and say those things. They need to understand how things work. They need to understand there's nothing excellent about a lackluster education. And so we want to make sure that they're getting the absolute best education that we can give them. But we feel like when you start with the wrong foundation, it's very difficult to come to the right conclusion.
Yeah, and it's going to change, right? The science is going to find out something new, and now they have to change everything that they taught you, right? The Egyptians,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't build those pyramids for tombs, right? But we taught that things just continually kind of advance, and then, but if your knowledge is based on a God who was, who is, and is to be, those things aren't going to change. That's going to stay the same.
Absolutely. We're, the people studying our solar system now are finding out more and more and more that they never knew. We believe they're finding out more about the God who's always been there.
Sure.
And it seems to be that they're kind of coming to some of those conclusions as well. So.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Walker, for visiting with us. We're going to wrap it up. Did you want to add anything, Stephanie? Anything come to your mind?
Oh, I mean, we're just first year in, but we're absolutely loving it. And I just have a story. My 4-year-old came home because I always ask, "What'd you learn today?" Well, first he tells me if he got a smiley face or not, and then what everyone else got too. And then
Yeah,
it's not a competition in your household, is it?
No. But he came home, said, "What'd you learn?" And he, "Mom, I learned that God always listens to me." And I was like, "Good job, honey." Like, "Yes, he does." And he said, "It's like magic." And he just thought it was the coolest thing, but it was so sweet to hear him say that and just his curious little mind. But yeah, so we're loving it.
How about you, Nate? Anything you want to add to
yeah. No, we really appreciate everything that LCA has done for our family specifically. We moved just to be closer, just to be more involved, and because we knew that this was the school that we wanted her to go all the way through. And we've moved a few houses, but she stayed in that school. It's going to be the school that we want her to go through because of the community, the model, and the people that are there.
Dr. Walker, you've done a wonderful job, and I look forward to seeing the progress you're making. And maybe in another year or two, we'll do another interview. It'll be fun to see how you guys have grown. Thank you all for watching this. And again, it's Lucas Christian Academy in Lucas, wonderful school. And I think if you do a little research into it, it might be exactly what you're looking for. Thank you.